All right, hello everybody. My name is Ashley Glennon and a longtime adult fan of Lego. Thank you for being here. And I realize, you know how the airlines say this when you get on the airplane? They say, we realize you have a choice in airlines. I want to say thank you. I realize you have a choice in presentations today. So thank you for choosing this one. I think we'll have a lot of fun. I'm going to show you a ton of pictures today. I'm in Seattle, Washington, and a longtime Lego fan. Been to all of the BrickCons back when it was Northwest BrickCon. Went from BrickCon 1 all the way to present. So a big fan, and you can check out my profile if you care at all. Well, guess what? You're here to hear about Legoland Deutschland, Legoland Germany, and a lot of you are like, where is this place anyway? Well, it's in Günzburg, Germany, and that's about 5,200 miles away from Seattle, 68 miles from Munich, and 193 miles from Frankfurt. So it's in kind of Central Europe, if you will, right there on the map for those of you who dig geography. And next up, let's zoom in a little bit. Where in particular in Germany is it? Well, it's between Munich and Frankfurt, or actually between Munich, Frankfurt, and Stuttgart. And you can see clearly labeled on the map here. Legoland Germany is right there kind of in the lower center. And for your convenience in the event you wish to travel there, Munich, Augsburg, Ulm, Frankfurt, Stuttgart, those are all great gateway cities, perhaps even Nuremberg, to go visit Legoland if you are ever in Germany, or once this whole COVID-19 thing ends. It's a great place to visit, and it's quite convenient to get to Legoland via car or train. You may be wondering about the park in particular, a little more about it, and here's their current Legoland.de webpage, and some quick fun facts. This park, Legoland Germany, that is opened on May 17th of 2002. It was the fourth Lego park. It was a dedicated Lego park. For instance, Billund was a dedicated Legoland park. Then Windsor in England was not. It was actually a former theme park that Lego retrofit to accommodate the theme park. But then Legoland California comes along next, a dedicated park that Marianne used to work at. And then next up is Legoland Germany, what we're here to talk about today. So being the fourth and a dedicated park means a lot of good things, up to and including the landscape design. The overall concept of the park was exclusively built to showcase Lego bricks and to extend the brand and to make families happy in the form of a theme park with plenty of attractions. All right, with that out of the way, there's 25 million bricks just in Miniland alone, a little over 50 million total bricks used in Legoland Germany. I'm going to call out a few big brick consumers as we talk about the park today. This park, by the way, is open approximately May to November. And if you wish to go, if you wish to brave the coronavirus, get on a plane and fly to Germany next week, etc., it would cost you approximately $47 US per person to attend. But there's a catch at the moment. Until further notice, all tickets must be purchased online with an advanced reservation. Look, I even tried booking us a ticket for today, and we were eligible had we booked it last week when I put this together. Nonetheless, if you want to go, you would need to pay and reserve a space in advance, and that's due to coronavirus at the moment. But the park of recent has not been crowded. I hear it has been delightfully pleasant to visit in the event you would want to risk it. Let's now look at a satellite view of what does the park look like from the air. Well, here it is. Lower left-hand side is the actual Legoland Park. You can kind of see a quick satellite view of it. And then the area behind it, if you will, to the lower right of the screen, is a brand new camping and hotel area. Back when I originally visited, you had to stay in either nearby Günzburg, the little town itself, and I stayed just across the Autobahn up there at the top left-hand side of the screen. That's where I stayed. But now you can stay kind of, if you will, air quote, on campus. So pretty nifty. But you can stay in a little castle-themed hotel, or you can camp. You can stay in these funny little teepee-looking things. There's a lot of places to stay now. Likewise, you could also stay nearby in Ulm, or even train it in from Frankfurt or Munich. And it gets pretty quick to get there. Speaking of that, when I first visited Legoland, I took the train. I was heading effectively from the Stuttgart area, And I actually went from the Günzburg train station to Legoland Park and then ended up staying in a little hotel in Günzburg just across the highway from the park. And I'll show you a photo of that here right now. Here's the train station and a cab I took in the lower left-hand corner. And then there's the little hotel I stayed at, but that's at the train station. And right there, conveniently at the train station, they have bus service. So for the Lego fan who thought they had everything, it'd be pretty cool to own that vinyl wrap on the side of this bus. But this bus leaves about I think about every 40 minutes, costs you about, $8 or so to take a nonstop trip from the Günzburg train station to the park. It just goes round and round before park opens all the way to a couple hours after park close. So that's the Legoland bus, kind of a fun bus ride. Let's now take a quick look at the park map, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but instead I'm going to kind of jump you right into the park. Well, yeah, because I'll show you something else here in just a second. But here's the front entrance, and our first Lego creation is shown. There's some fun friends scale big kids trying to cross over the fence to sneak in, if you will. And then, of course, right as you enter into the park, this is kind of the first thing you see. And there's the big shop on the left and some Lego people sitting here in the background. Here is the big shop, pretty nifty. Here is inside the big shop. You can see pirates are a big theme, and you can see lots of fun souvenirs like you find in other Lego parks. I don't recall seeing anything unique here. Sure, there was a few unique items, playing cards, magnets, but I didn't see any special or exclusive sets. I know that's likely to be a question because that's certainly something I was looking for. Later on, I'll show you the pick-a-brick wall or the model builder kind of shop, and we'll talk about some unique things there, but nonetheless, here's the big shop. I told you that, well, I'm telling you now, right when you walk in the park, the main entrance, as you walk through the front gates, you can see straight back to the back, and there's this big tower. It's a nice observation tower, and if I'm not mistaken, of all the Legoland parks, this is the actual tallest structure. So Legoland Germany holds the record for the tallest structure. It doesn't happen to be made out of Lego, but nonetheless, it is a kind of record holder amongst the parks. So a big observation tower. And what I want to do now is kind of take you through it just to help you get the lay of the land. So I'm going to give you some radial, kind of a clockwork-like view of the park from inside of this tower. And then I'm going to walk you through how I'm going to walk you through the park. So with that in mind, we are now looking out the window, and there's a giant restaurant facility. That's what's below us right there. And we're kind of looking off in the distance at the pirate area. Now we're starting to look a little more towards the front of the park as this little tower thing rises. And you can see Miniland over here on the right-hand side of the screen. You can see a little kid-powered car ride, which they have in California and other parks as well. Then now let's look straight on. Boom, here's the tower looking straight out towards the entrance. And we're going to spend a ton of time in that top center area right there called Miniland. So Miniland is a big deal. Marianne and others spent a lot of time working on things that belong to Miniland, and
my favorite
of course,
part of the park.
There we go, and it's fan favorite. It's many park visitors' favorites, and we're going to soak on that area here in a bit. Okay, now I'm going to kind of cruise and look towards the right. Now we're all looking towards the right, towards the castle or knights area, as well as some administration buildings off in the distance, and outside the park. And that's the Lego City, and now kind of a China Ninjago area. And then here is the Knights area, Knights Kingdom area down below, where they have kind of a kids playground, one of 3 small roller coasters. This, by the way, is not a thrill park. It's mostly kind of casual rides. It's not, it's not for adrenaline junkies. It's very family geared. So the 3 coasters they have there, kind of like a big and small dragon coaster plus another little kind of Technic wild ride kind of thing. Those are all fairly low key, low adrenaline rides, but nonetheless, they're fun. All right, then there's been a minor amount of expansion in this area, but nonetheless, that concludes the tower tour. Now, let me show you how I'm going to walk you through the park now. And this won't be a family trip kind of overview. This is going to be a focus on Lego bricks, focus on Lego fan activity. So I'm going to dwell on not the rides, but instead on the creations we see throughout. Before I proceed, let me pause and see if there's any questions about kind of getting there, the run up, kind of what you've seen so far, before I really jump into, let's look at park pictures.
I have a question.
Okay, I'll take it. What you got?
How long ago were you there?
As that sounds like Terry. I was there in 2009. So these pictures good 10, 11 years old now. Okay. And I will point out where things have changed since I was there. And as a special bonus, wow, I was not expecting this kind of historic precedent to be set, but a variety of Miniland elements have been completely destroyed and removed and replaced by other things. So turns out that my photos will be somewhat historic and archival, and perhaps had I not captured them, I don't see them online any other location. So I'll point those out when I get there, mainly the Munich airport. Okay, all right, let's walk. Let's get walking. I'm going to start in the lower right-hand corner of this map, zip around by an area called basically the extreme area, head towards Pirates and Adventureland and the aquarium area, head over towards an adventure area, again, as I said, towards a log flume, towards the castle area, through Lego City, and then we will spend the bulk of our time in Miniland, where I hope that's where most of you want me to go the most, and we will dwell on not a few, but a ton of models there. So all right, with that in mind, I'm going to kick us off with a big Lego Technic 1-to-1 Formula 1 car, and right as you take a right, after entering that front gate and head towards one of the attractions, is this huge Technic 1-to-1, kind of a rough Mercedes style Formula 1 car. It's pretty neat just in its sheer size. So pretty cool there. But let me move right on to something that Lego fans usually dig. And this is a thing called the Schnäppchenmarkt, which basically is a bargain tent. And let me enter that just for fun real quick for many of you. You can see, you get a slight indication of the date in which I was visiting there, because those Lego factory sets and some of the Mars mission sets are there in the upper right-hand corner. There in this tent, which indeed comes and goes seasonally, you will find chicken wire crates, wooden crates, plastic bins, just about anything, clothing, you know, discount or clearance, licensed merchandise. It all gets loaded in here and put on sale. One thing I particularly envy, if you look towards the lower center, you'll see those giant bins, wooden bins of, these crates full of loose Lego bricks. They are stamped with the Lego Danish Shows and Events logo. I would love to have some furniture made out of those. Those are pretty cool. All right, so this is the bargain tent. I did not see anything of particular bargain interest in there. Although the Lego factory stuff, I did already have quite a bit of it, and you can see those were on sale for 40 euros. All right, this also dates the time in which I was there, Terry and others. It was Bob the Builder, Bob der Baumeister, he is called, in Germany, and two nice sculptures there of Bob and friends. Let me move on to a nearby area. They have a big aquarium there, kind of you get in a little Lego-like car, and you go take a look at an aquarium and, you know, see fish and all that stuff. And out front, like in other attractions, there's a big Lego sculpture, in this case, a submarine coming up out of the ground, not unlike one we have in Legoland, California, that's busting up out of the ground as well. So it seems like Lego Master Model Builders dig the submarine thing, but there it is. Moving on, I'm going to go quickly to Adventureland. So this says Adventure Play Place, and that's where we'll spend a little bit of time. Note the butterfly on the top of this sign, made out of Lego bricks, of course. And then notice there's a monkey tail in the top center there, and I'll show you a cool monkey here in a minute. All right, a little ode to the Islanders here on the right-hand side. On some of the fort-like structures, there were quite a few fun Lego features, and this is a Islander shield, as you can see. A totem pole is there, and in the background you see just a few random things. There's a big serpent, not unlike what was in Legoland, Florida, or actually in the Florida Imagination Center at downtown Disney. A very similar serpent is kind of cruising around through a fort in the background there. And you can see in kind of the center of the screen, a little piece of that little snake-like creature creeping through. Speaking of snakes, check this out. So as you get in line for some of these little log flume-like rides, there are quite a few regular brick-built sculptures. Here's a snake or a boa of some sort, pretty nicely draped over the wood there, so that's pretty cool. And then up above, of course, you can see kind of a lizard or gecko or some kind of critter like that. But once again, it's kind of neat to see some blockier looking creations because they are appealing, right? They are approachable. Like we could build that, as opposed to having 4 million, rare chrome colored cheese slopes or whatever, So these are parts that actually we might even have in our collections in our homes today. So that's kind of fun to see. All right, moving on. Everybody loves big things. Here is a huge dinosaur that blends wonderfully well with its surrounding. I trust that this has a steel frame inside, but nonetheless, it's neat to see huge creations like this. And there is no shortage. I don't show a ton of them, but I think I show another big structure or two in a minute. But nearby that Adventureland, indeed, with big dinosaurs. Throughout the park, as I've already mentioned, there are quite a few neat little side model builds that are lots of fun. Here's a pelican on the left, a bear on the right. But the model designers and the park designers did a fantastic job in this park, like they've done in other parks, of appropriately placing models in the context of where you would find them. And they've even used a little bit of humor that I'll show you in a moment. I promised something else big. Here we go. 2 elephants in particular. Obviously, the center screen is a huge elephant grazing on some grass. These look similar to that which is in Legoland, California. But there's a complete scene. You can see another elephant, big tusks and all, with birds and flamingos and such nearby in the upper corner there. All right, I told you there'd be a monkey coming up. There it is on the left. A nice monkey, again, in context of the rides and attractions hanging from branches on trees. I'll show you one in a minute that's even just kind of part of the substructure of one of the rides. But here's a souvenir shop on the right. Nothing remarkable there. I was just kind of giving you a lay of the land. All right, in this area nearby is a really nice pirate area. The Germans in particular to this day seem to be fascinated with pirates, the Wild West, and Egyptians. So there's quite a bit of sculptures throughout the park on those topics. And I'll show some of them in a moment, but you can see a nice huge brick-built shark in the water in the lower portion of the screen. And they built, it's kind of hard to see, but it's there in the top central foreground. And then in the left side of the screen on the lower panel, you can see large-scale Lego palm trees. Moving right along, pirates are cool, and they have a nice couple of attractions there with pirates. In particular, I really like this brightly built large-scale pirate sculpture. There was music and pan flutes and guitars and violins and the dog barking and stuff. Lots of audio, of course, when you're there live. But I just thought these pirates were nice and colorful. But lots of those are big and pretty nice. All right, moving right along. I love this on the left-hand side. Check that out. You may have missed it at immediate first glance. There's a big old snake there. There is a dry creek bed, excuse me, and you can see a huge python in that creek bed there. That I think it's pretty sweet. I'd love to have that thing in the backyard. I told you there was humor throughout the park, and here is a crazy rabbit with a chainsaw about to cut down one of these supporting structures of one of the rides there. And so I love these independent, non-themed, just random creatures like snakes and rabbits and monkeys. You know, we see Bob the Builder and so many other theme characters all the time. That's fun just to see, if you will, spontaneous characters. So here's a fun rabbit threatening to cut down the pole. As I continue around Adventureland up into the castle area, On the right-hand side, there's a kind of a gold prospector, genie-looking guy. You can pay, I don't know, like €5 and go pan for fool's gold in a little attraction there. Then on the left-hand side, some neat mosaic banners at the top, a nice storybook in the center, and again, another fun little character at the bottom who's guarding kind of the castle gate. And there's some brick-built pigeons, hard to see, in the very lower left-hand corner. I decided to eat in the castle area, and therein had me some shish kebab, some great German sausage and French fries, pommes frites, as they say. The food was spectacular. And I enjoyed pigs and chickens and a lot of fun little hidden elements as you sat to eat. You could see a lot of small sculptures, and I thought these pigs were really adorable. I am now hauling around the park to take you to kind of a big model shop. Now, I personally did not see model builders on display like we had in Legoland, California. They may have been there and I just missed it. But instead, I thought I would focus here real quick on the model shop because, the giant pick-a-brick wall. I looked 2 days ago to modify my presentation to update the pick-a-brick price. And I recall when I was there, it was quite expensive. And to prove that point, it still is. So right now, it is about $11 for 100 grams of pick-a-brick. And to put that in perspective, I've written at the bottom here, this is about the weight of a banana or a stick of butter or a half of cup of cooked rice to kind of give you an idea of how much 100 grams is. So basically, you'd be paying about $45 for a pick-a-brick cup at a Lego store in America if you were looking for an equivalency. So the point is, buying pick-a-brick from Legoland Germany is not a good idea. Too expensive, but for what it's worth, it was a spectacular collection of parts, but I did not see anything there ultra rare or crazy that I could not get elsewhere. Certainly now with BrickLink and so many Lego stores, you can, if you're patient, find just about any part these days. And I was hoping this gigantic pick-a-brick kind of warehouse, if you will, was going to have something special, but they did not. I would love to see some chrome or gold parts or some slopes or even some simple 1x1 green cylinders. I'm always needing those. I didn't see them there, but nonetheless, I did enjoy looking around. And there it is. Now, I think now I'm going to really kick in. I'm going to take you to Miniland. I promised that this would not be a family tour, but instead this is going to be a tour of mocks and models, and it's called a visual presentation of Legoland Germany, where you want to see models. So that is what I'm about to do right now. We're starting with the Legoland, Schloss Neuschwanstein. This is the castle down near Fussen, the kind of modeled after, or the Cinderella castle at Disney, Disneyland, Disney World, etc., modeled after this one. This is a beautiful model in real life, as you can see there. It's pretty big, pretty nice looking. Let me pause and see, are there any questions for me before I'm going to go into a huge, like 50 slides showing you pictures of Miniland now. Before I jump into that, I want to see if there's any questions about anything so far.
Are the bricks in the sculptures protected from the elements, especially UV?
As a matter of fact, they are. The bricks are spray coated with UV protectant, just like they spray on many cars. The model builders, as Marianne can tell you as well, what will happen is they'll typically build a model, get it somewhat staged, and then either in place or send it out quickly or have somebody come visit the park or them do it themselves. They will airbrush spray the model with a UV clear coat, and that helps prevent, it does not stop, but it helps prevent yellowing. So yes, the models in most cases are glued. In nearly all cases, when they're in Miniland in particular, the models are glued, and then the models are protected with a clear UV coating. That is correct. I'm going to jump right in. So we're going to go on a long slog through Miniland, and we will pause from time to time to point out unique builds and talk a little bit about the history of and such of what you're seeing. So here is a side view of that beautiful model there in the bottom center, right? Kind of hard to see. There's a little crowd of kid scouts taking a look at the castle, tourist, if you will. And I'll zoom in and show you kind of a cutaway corner view. That's, I think, one of the ballrooms, and that's animated, and little waltzers go by occasionally. But this model is spectacular. You know, lots of white and kind of that Statue of Liberty green, patina green color, but a really nice model. And the landscaping around it is excellent. Now I'm going to take us on a kind of a random tour, as does Miniland itself, through Germany, Austria, Switzerland. It just kind of hops around a little bit as you walk, but also show you the airport that I mentioned is now taken down. But here's a typical Bavarian scene, kind of a blacksmith shop, if you will, a horse shoer, if you will, and pieces of the old world are still maintained in these Swiss and German chalets. And so there's a little scene here. Oh, by the way, we haven't mentioned this. All of Miniland is built in Miniland scale. So many of you who are new fans or at BrickCon the first time, or are new Lego fans, you go to the store, you buy a Lego set, and it's chock full of minifigs. Miniland, throughout the parks across the world, Miniland has its own scale, and it's called Miniland scale, and the people are about 4 to 6 inches tall. And that allows the Lego model builders with a lot more flexibility and creativity in their builds, and lets them distinctively call out features. But I want to point out that it's called Miniland, both a scale and a place, and it does use a very special Lego building scale. And by the way, that scale is not exactly exact, but I want to point out it's much bigger than minifig, and it varies, and there's lots of forced perspective and not official cheating going on to the tune of misuse of bricks, but instead some buildings may be reduced in size or expanded or exaggerated to, if you will, accentuate their features or attributes. But nonetheless, Miniland scale is what Miniland is made out of. Check out this. Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, it's roughly 1/20th scale for the people and the cars and stuff.
Yeah. Great one, Marianne. Yeah, 1/20th scale is typically a fast reference point.
Yeah, and then when it's like the skyscrapers, then we go forced perspective for the bigger, taller buildings, so it gets smaller as it goes higher.
That's right, and I'll show you Frankfurt in a moment, but thank you. So Marianne, again, she worked at Legoland, California as a model builder, master model builder, so we will pause a lot for her to give us insight. So the picture you're seeing now is kind of a neat one. It's kind of making reference to a German town. To it, what you can get, two remarkable, or not remarkable as in astounding things, but things to talk about with this particular model is neat use of little faucet valve-like things in the windows. Notice the windows there. They're little faucet things used there. That's kind of neat. Little air hose connectors in the windows. That's cool. And then notice the use of tiles and 1x1 plates to say Zoom Feldkirche there. So that's kind of cool. Notice that this model does have a little bit of spotting and yellowing in the lower right-hand corner of this kind of farm church-like structure. Just since we were talking about UV protection, this one's not doing so great with the
Well, the UV protection only lasts about 6 months. It does start peeling off. That's why it looks like some of it, there's little peeling things coming off. Because the problem is because Lego is a flat surface, it actually starts making little cracks on the surface, and then they start peeling off after about 6 months. Some colors are more susceptible to the sun than others, depending on what color it is. So they end up getting more sun damage than others. Like orange and purple, for some reason, get really sun damaged really fast, versus like black does get sun damage, but it takes longer. And yes, someone, I see Bri asked, do the sculptures get cleaned? They do get power washed usually in the mornings, but then like some of the figures have to actually be put back up because they get knocked over a lot.
If any of you have ever gotten super glue on your fingertips and watched it peel off over time, if you look at some of the UV coated Lego creations in the parks, you will see this clear coat peeling off that looks very similar to that. Trivial note,
Yeah, it
since
kind of looks like that.
since Marianne brought up the idea that they get power washed, that's true. Also, on rare occasion, when a model gets too degraded, the model shop builders, I don't know if they still do this, they used to bring out basically a sandblaster and blast clean the models with crunched up walnut shells.
Yes,
So
they still do
pecan
that.
shells,
They do
walnut
that.
shells, yeah, they'll blast
Basically,
them
they
clean.
do that about every 5 years or so. So a model can last about 10 to 15 years, depending on how well it lasts. It doesn't work on clear bricks because obviously the damage goes through the entire brick. So sometimes, depending on if it's a completely transparent model, it does have to be completely rebuilt. But most models can be like that one layer that gets some damaged can get blasted off. It does actually wipe off the little stud part that says Lego. And eventually you can only do it about twice before you can't do it because it actually makes the bricks brittle and makes the
Yeah,
model brittle.
it'll pit the bricks and stuff. Yep, it'll accelerate their deterioration.
Yes.
Right on. Well, I skimmed past a quick picture, just some additional Bavarian scenes. We're now kind of gently into Switzerland. We'll be back and forth into Germany, Switzerland, Austria, even in Berlin here in a second. But here's kind of a Lucerne, Switzerland waterfront scene. And then now I'm jumping along to, I think this is Kochim, I can't even say it, castle along the Moselle River. I thought I had another picture of it. Yeah, this is a very nice, profuse use of beige brick style castle and lots of vegetation on the side of that central low tower there in the middle. This is a beautiful structure there at the in Miniland. Moving on, here's just another little kind of a Bavarian train station scene. The Legoland parks here as well do have trains. They're kind of a larger scale, almost kind of like a G scale train. For those of you interested in the train mocks, I don't have a lot of pictures of them by design, but they are there and they move around along with boats and other things. Here is Lucerne again. Lots of beautiful buildings along the waterfront in Lucerne. They're in Switzerland. You can see Miniland people all lined up for dinner there and boats.
Well, and Ashley, somebody else is asking, do they use proprietary Lego software to design the models? There is a program that they use to design a lot of the larger models that is a 3D program that is basically takes a 3D model and then transfers it and turns it into Lego bricks. I think they use kind of something similar to Studio to design some of the smaller stuff now. Frankly, when I worked there, we didn't use programs. It was all designed by hand because I was a little bit before that time because I quit in 2007. So almost everything I designed was completely designed by hand. I don't know about with you, Ashley, but everything I did was by hand.
There are a few very large structures for which the Lego company will use software today. And I think I have a photo of one of them. But yeah, for the most part, back in this era, it was a lot of drafting paper and trial and error. So yeah, true.
Well, because you showed the 3 pirate band.
Yeah.
Earlier. Well, I actually had to make a copy of the Fat Pirate in that pirate band from the English park for the American park or for the California park. But again, this was before they just made the 3D software version and then just emailed it. So I actually had 70 pictures and had to literally copy it from the pictures and change the color of his outfit into different colors. So that's the old school version. They don't do that anymore because it's easier now. You can literally email the plans in a sense from one model shop to the next.
All right, continuing on here is Lucerne once again, just a different view of the beautiful town of Lucerne, Switzerland. I'll keep on moving. Here is just more idyllic, fun, happy. There's a chicken stand there in the right-hand corner, a couple little restaurants, but just, again, beautiful use of bonsai trees and people and just general structures. More fun stuff. I'm looking at all these scenes to see if I see anything cute
Oh,
or
and
worth
another
calling
thing,
out. Yeah, go
Ashley,
ahead.
another thing people are asking is how do Miniland people stand up? So most Miniland people are actually, there's the 1x2 plates are glued to the ground, and then the Miniland people are just placed on, attached to the Miniland or to the 1x2 plates. That's how most of them are attached, because like I said, they get knocked over a lot, or sometimes they get faded, and so you replace them with a new one. Or sometimes if for the holidays, you replace them with like a Halloween or Christmas themed minifigure instead.
Yeah, mini land scale people, everybody, are tons of fun to build, and I
Oh
highly
yeah,
encourage you to build some just to play with and experiment with.
it's my
I don't,
favorite theme or
yeah,
scale, basically.
mini land is fun. Note here the center building there, that beige building straight center. If you look kind of on the left facade of it, you'll see lots of lines, weathering that have separated these bricks. That's an example where either the sprinkler or washing or just weather wear is really starting to take a toll
Hmm.
on this building. So this one was about 5 years old when I took the photo. So it's, well, I can tell you, I know it's been replaced because I looked at photos last night, and a ton of Bavaria, lots of Venice, which I'm going to show you, including the airport that's coming up next, have all been replaced with other things. But I'll keep on moving. A little power truck. This is interesting. This power truck is still in the park in a different spot now, but for a while it was right there doing some fun work on one of these little side little roads in the Bavarian area. But moving right along, just kind of jumping around in no particular order. Here is Frankfurt now. Marianne mentioned the forced perspective. These buildings, of course, are not 1/20th scale anymore, but these are more like maybe 1/200th or 1/100th or better. But nonetheless, they're beautiful buildings. I think I have another, yeah, there we go, another picture of them. They've since added a structure in the lower right that I don't, in the years since, another cool looking modern building, but this is the Frankfurt, roughly the Frankfurt skyline with pieces of Frankfurt Old City in the middle, but it's a beautiful modern skyline. Here it is split up again. In this case, there is the Berlin radio tower on the left-hand side, a nice ball on top of a stick there. And then, of course, Frankfurt at large again, but beautiful stuff. I thought this picture was funny, so I thought I'd include it. Notice the guy on the stretcher. Look at that nice Maersk blue color, or not even, I don't even know if that's Maersk blue. It's just kind of
No,
a
that's
funky
not
blue color.
Marisk. I think
Yeah.
that's like the, that's a different color. It's like
It's
the
a,
mint blue
it's a
brick.
dead guy blue. The
Yeah.
neat thing is that guy's in bad shape, unfortunately, it looks like. The ambulance there is looking a little old school now, but a little weathered, but I thought this was a fun scene. Let me change gears entirely now. Check this out. Now, here's, Terry was asking earlier when I'd been gone, this area that I'm about to show you now, peel your eyes out for it. This area is now completely gone. This whole Munich airport that I'm about to show you has been replaced by architecture and Star Wars. So here's some neat, rare photos you won't see again. And I went online looking for videos and old photos and could not find many at all of the airport. So I told the moderators here, our virtual guys, that all of you who are participating today, I'm happy to have them send you this file directly if you would like this entire presentation and or these pictures. But let me get into it. So airplane in the foreground, quite nice, big long runway there. Check this out, lots of nice jets on the tarmac, huge, beautiful sculpture here. And I can't believe they took it down, but I guess Star Wars prevails. You know, kids want to see Star Wars more than they want to see a gigantic airport, but this was a beautiful structure, and it gets better here in a minute. And this looks just like the Munich airport. If you just did a Google search here in the background for Munich airport gates and terminals, boom, looks exactly like this. This was pretty cool. This is a huge animated A380 Airbus. This giant trawler thing would pull this plane out, put it back, pull it, back and forth. And then of course there's animation and audio airport sounds all through the course of this airport complex, which are pretty neat. And here's this airplane from the other side, but it even gets better. The model builders to set up for Legoland Germany, being that Airbus is in Europe and there was some connections there, they built a cutaway version of the A380, and kaboom, there it is now. That's
Nice.
awesome. So here's a very rare minifig scale jet.
Oh.
Yeah, so pretty nice. And again, I'm having a hard time finding any photos other than my own, but check that out. That plane is 3 levels total with baggage in the lowest
About how
level.
big is that, Ashley?
Oh man, that plane is like 4 feet long.
Mm.
It's huge. It was nice. Yeah, it's pretty nice cutaway.
Yeah.
And then let me show you the airport proper. Let me show you some of the main terminal. I'll jump to it now. Now there's a lot of debris on the lower level, but here's a minifig scale portion of the terminal. And this was a lot of fun. There was a ton of details here. Unfortunately, a lot of grit and debris and tree debris and algae was starting to grow up in that lowest baggage claim level. But this was a lot of fun. So I was sad to see it go, but the model builders here, they nailed it. The gift shop, the waiting area, baggage claim, security, they had everything replicated for this airport. There's the Kempinski Hotel nearby. They had everything. So it's too bad. But again, I dwell on these photos real quick because this area is gone.
I always loved how to make scenes. That's my favorite part, of all the little tiny details that you really have to spend time to look for and stuff like that.
Tons of fun. Even in front of the elevators, they have the guard tiles to warn you that you're about to get on the elevator. And then all of the stuff in the shop there, all those different clear cylinder cones and bricks and stuff in there to reminds me of the Simpsons little store, but nonetheless, lots of fun here. All right.
Ashley, somebody was asking, they said, what happens to models when they get retired from the park? And are they bricks recycled after they're... And sadly, yes, people, they do get...
Sad story.
They do get destroyed and they get recycled usually. The plastic gets recycled.
Yeah, unfortunately, they don't sell them to fans and they don't do many things, or they don't do anything glorious with them that we fans would like. Yeah, think of them as going to the incinerator, grinder, or recycler. Yeah. And trust me, by the time the park decides to rid themselves of a mock, it is kind of ratty looking. It's not as wonderful to own as you might think. I have seen plenty of discarded models on their way out, and you go, "Ew, no thanks," But even though it might be fun.
They do get really sad looking when they get beat up at the end.
Okay, I'm about to go through a big wave of additional photos. Nearby the Frankfurt area, there's a hot air balloon. Look, a rare Pepsi ad on the gondola of that balloon. And then there's a rescue helicopter and some climbers there. And by the way, throughout this entire presentation, for those of you who love to yell space and go R for pirates, this is the only even lightweight reference to space in this entire presentation right here. There's a little alien spaceship and some people looking around in just the trees near Miniland. Here it is for all of you alien fans.
Yeah, usually for Halloween, there's usually a UFO that gets crash landed by the Las Vegas in California.
That's pretty funny. So there you go, everybody, aliens.
Oh, all and somebody else is asking, just real quick, somebody asked about some of these models may be 20 years old. Are parts made for these displays, or are they using old parts? That actually comes up sometimes where we are building and the parts are old. Sometimes we do have a stash of old parts, or sometimes we have to come up with a new model or rebuild the model like completely because or redesign the model because it's an old part. Like when I got my, literally right into the model shop first, one of the first things I had to do was I had to make a wheelchair for the veterans by the, in Washington, D.C. And the wheelchair they had was using a Technic wheel that didn't exist, or we didn't have it anymore. So I had to literally design a brand new wheelchair, but I actually made a new wheelchair that looked more accurate than the wheelchair that they had. So so sometimes we do have to we can't just like make parts. We don't get that luxury.
Right on. Okay, I'm going to move on. We're going to run out of time. I got like 50
Yeah,
more slides to
sorry
show
about
you.
that.
No problem. This is good. I learn. I love, man. This is fun stuff. On the left-hand side, we're in Berlin. On the right-hand side, we're in Holland. Um, this is the Kaiser Wilhelm Memorial on the left-hand side, part of a bombed-out church from World War II that's in Berlin. In particular, beauty here is check out that clock. The clock on that building looks pretty nice. I don't even know how they made that in particular, but it's quite the beauty there.
Mm.
And then on the right-hand side is just a standard but beautiful Holland style or Amsterdam area windmill. And I think I'm gonna, go into the Holland, Amsterdam, kind of Rotterdam, Netherlands area for a moment. Here's a typical greenhouse that you might see out the window on the train if you're cruising around in Holland. And here's some of what the Dutch harbors area looks like. Here's a mosaic I just kind of slammed together to kind of give you an idea of scale, and you can see parts of the park in the background there. Moving right along, here's a little more mix of Germany, Holland, kind of all in one. I'm going to keep on moving. Bridges and waterways around the area. All the waterways are animated with a little pulley system in the water, and boats and tugboats and trains and cars drive by. A small little harbor scene. I'm going to keep on moving. It's neat to see the boats though and water. Here we go. Here's a nice container ship. We are in Hamburg now, kind of north central Germany. There's dry docks there, huge container ships, lots of gantry cranes. And in Hamburg, there's a big fair, like a big kind of theme park along a strand there. And I'll show you some pictures of that coming up. Banana warehouse, nice banana mosaic built into the wall here. So, banana shipping, if you will. A water police station in the background, another clock tower here in the foreground. Plenty more boats and stuff to show you in a moment. Here's part of that theme park I've referenced. There's a boat on the left-hand side of the screen, a huge boat there. I believe that boat's called the San Diego, and it's a museum boat now. And that is one of the few rare early day models that for some reason was built on, I believe, proprietary Lego software. I don't particularly know the history as to why that one needed to be designed via Lego official software, but it was. I think that boat's history is that it was among the earliest vessels with onboard refrigeration or something like that. It has some special historic significance. And even though the boat's in Europe, the boat is called the San Diego. Kind of interesting. Kind of a tiny little hint, homage to San Diego, California, where the next park was, or is, etc. Kind of neat. Okay, moving on. Beautiful masted sailing ship here. Obviously, we can all appreciate all kinds of Lego creations. Square ones we can perhaps relate to more easily, but when you have these true ship-shaped or bow-shaped slow curves that need to look like the hull of the ship, I'm very impressed with how smooth this looks. And that model, by the way, is also huge, 3-4 feet wide. Anyway, I'll keep on moving for the sake of time. Here are portions of a very fun and very animated amusement park along the Hamburg waterfront there. It looks like the Dream Boat there on the left-hand side and a Ferris wheel on the right. Lots of fun details if we were to go slow on these. I'm jumping around now to the Berlin Zoo. This is what the gate of the Berlin Zoo looks like. I was kind of in the theme park theme, so I thought I'd throw this one in. A beautiful kind of a Chinese or imperial style entrance to the Berlin Zoo. Moving on. Here is a building called the Reichstag, and there are 50 million bricks in the park. 1 million of those bricks are in this building alone. And I've got another building I'll end with that's got another million, but this, we can only see the front of it here, but this is a huge square building with a courtyard in the center. This is the house of the German parliament today. And this is a beautiful building. from all sides with tons of details. And it's kind of like the White House, if you will, from an American perspective. And here we are, or the Capitol, if you will, White House Capitol combo, but it's yeah, German Parliament building, a beautiful building, and there's buttons you can press and you can read about it and hear news media and stuff on the audio throughout the park. Pretty nice building. In Berlin, there's kind of a promenade of shops, and this is kind of what it looks like. Lots of animation here with trains and trolleys. Next up, here's something fun. On the left-hand side, you can see lots of neat brick-built graffiti, kind of a nightclub. You see a, are you hungry? No problem. Go to Burger World kind of billboard sign, kind of fun, all built out of a mosaic situation. The right-hand side is Berlin Cathedral, a beautiful building worth seeing live. It's tons of shapes and richness in design there. This thing right here is called the Red Rat House, the Rotes Rat House, and it's basically a historic building in Berlin as well. Usually weddings and other fun stuff happens there. It kind of looks like the Smithsonian building, but it's nice, and it's also pretty big, you know, 6 feet long or so. I'm going to burn through Venice real quick, and a lot of Venice that I'm about to show you has been, a lot of it's been rebuilt, but here's like a 4-picture mosaic showing you the width of the Venetian area. Here's some of it up close, and I'll only pause here in a moment for kind of the coolest stuff. More Venice, more Venice getting up closer. There's a party on the deck in the right center, if you will, kind of fun, lots of details there. Street performers, high wire act, that little guy goes back and forth, lots of fun. The Rialto Bridge in Venice, kind of neat, lining the canal, so it's a pretty little scene there. All right, this is beautiful, but it's been rebuilt. They have kicked butt on this now, and a whole bunch, when I say rebuilt, it's either been rebuilt, upgraded, repositioned, but now this St. Mark's Plaza, or San Marco Plaza as it's called, this area is bigger, wider, nicer now, but man, there are some huge, no, I thought I had more, there are some spectacular lacework details throughout this entire area of Venice, and it's worth going to see this area for sure. It's beautiful, but we're running out of time, so I'm going to keep on moving. A little more Rialto Bridge action, a little beach scene on the right, kind of the Italian coastline, if you will. I will conclude with these slides. Here's the Allianz Arena. This thing is the kind of the golden nugget, if you will, of Legoland Germany. Not only is the Allianz Arena one of the biggest soccer stadiums in the world, but as of, I think this record still holds, this is the largest Lego building structure of all of the Lego theme parks. So it's not the largest creation, but it's the largest, it's what they call the largest building. And this Allianz Arena also consumes about 1 million, a little more than 1 million bricks. And it is to minifig scale, unlike the rest of Miniland, which is Miniland scale. This is to minifig scale. This thing is gigantic. It's like 16 feet wide, 8 to 10 feet across. There's a complete parking structure, the rotunda, the plaza, the arrival area. Trains arrive underneath it, sort of thing. And get this wacky stat. Here's people to give you some scale. The thing is gigantic. Let's look inside. No kidding. The Lego designers in this mock have placed 30,000 Lego minifigs. No exaggeration. 30,000 Lego minifigs. And this is a huge and beautiful animated mock with flash bulbs and noise and everything else going off. About 100 of these minifigs have been sent in by fans, by the way. And I don't know if they'll open that up again, but every once in a while the park will, I believe, accept nominations for new minifigs to be placed in some of the rows here. But guess what? This is wrapping us up. Look how perfectly
Awesome.
timed this was. Thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks for being here.